Hello everybody, I'm Ralph Greenwood and welcome to the introduction to my Google Earth flyover of the Columbus-Chicago main line. The Columbus-Chicago main line originally ran from Union Station in Columbus, Ohio to 59th Street Yard in Chicago, Illinois. Now later, in 1970, the Penn Central constructed Buckeye Yard in Columbus, Ohio, and the freight went through that yard. Now the Columbus-Chicago main lines, it's been called many things, but I refer to it as the Columbus-Chicago main line. So here we go. Let's go in here and take a look. Columbus-Chicago main line was at one time comprised of several railroads before it was eventually leased by the Pennsylvania Railroad in 1890. The portion of the main line that we'll be covering was at one time known as the Logansport Division. This section of track ran from Bradford, Ohio to Logansport, Indiana, a distance of 114.6 miles. This will be a 5-part video including the introduction. In the introduction, we will cover the 3 main rail yards and cover historical points of interest in Bradford. In Part 1, we will cover from Bradford, Ohio to Union City, Ohio. Part 2, we will cover from Union City, Ohio to Red Key, Indiana. In Part 3, we will cover from Red Key, Indiana to Marion, Indiana. And Part 4, we will cover from Marion, Indiana to Logansport, Indiana. Along the way, I will point out some historical places and industries along the line. Now, the first view I want to show you is overall Google Earth map of the Columbus-Chicago main line. It runs from Bradford to Logansport. There's a lot of little small communities in here, but there's 3 main rail yards. There is the yard in Bradford, the Bradford Yard, and there's Goodman's Yard in Marion, Indiana, and 18th Street Yard in Logansport, Indiana. Now we'll begin in the community of Bradford. The milepost number for Bradford, Ohio is 83.1. This is a distance from Columbus, Ohio. Here you can see the remnants of the Bradford Yard. And most of these tracks, with the exception of the main, were torn up in the 1950s. The main was taken up in the mid-80s. Okay, now we're going to go through the yard here. And I'm kind of getting set up here. Okay, now Bradford Yard. The Bradford Yard is 10,000 feet long and 660 feet wide. So that's an idea of how big it is. It's not the biggest one on here though. 18th Street Yard's bigger, but we'll get to that later. That's in the other video. So we're coming up here on a turntable and roundhouse area, and it'll take me a little bit to get situated on it because I want you guys to be able to see this. You might be able to see it right now, but I'm kind of moving around here so I could get a good view of it. And there is a caption here that points to it. Yes, and if you already noticed the turntable and stuff, off here to the right there's a couple of sheds. Both of those sheds have been there for years and years. Those have been there for a long time. Okay, now we're going to look at, there was a straight route that went to Logansport. This is the beginning of the Logan side. This goes to Logansport and then it would go on to Chicago. This diverging route is the Bradford New Paris, Maine, which goes down to Indianapolis. Okay, so there I showed you that. So now we're going to come up here, and there's a Bradford Railway Park. They have a little playground for the kids. There's a gazebo there. There's an old Pennsylvania caboose there, and it's an in class. And I took a picture of it. There's a picture of it coming up here. It's not a real good picture, but It was raining that day, and unfortunately, but there's the picture of the caboose. And now we're going to take a look at the museum. The museum is located at 200 North Miami Avenue. It is a former bank, as you can tell. The museum was founded in 2002 by several local railroad enthusiasts and was recently presented with the 2017 award for Best Exhibition under $500,000. So, and the museum is open April through October or by appointment. And there is also an in-scale display of trackage and equipment from the railroad heyday. And there will be a link to the museum's website in the description of this video. There's a lot of neat things at the museum's website. Now we're going to look at Bradford Tower. This was an interlocking tower. Here you can see the top part of the tower. Here's a plaque that is by the tower. You could stop the video here and read this. It's very interesting. But next I'm going to show you a shot of the tower itself, which I took same day it was raining and all that I took a picture of the caboose. The Bradford interlocking tower is standing thanks to dedicated rail fans and supporters from around the country. The tower was opened in 1925 by the Pennsylvania Railroad to replace an older wooden tower. The telegraph designation for Bradford Tower was BF. It was closed by Conrail in 1983. It has the distinction of being on the National Register of Historic Places. The complete registration of the tower is the next project for the museum. This concludes the introduction to the Google Earth flyover. You guys stay tuned because part 1 is next, and we're working on it. Have a good day. Bye.